This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Once the Mexicans had their artillery in place, they maintained an almost constant fire upon the Alamo. On February 24th, in his famous letter addressed to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, Travis reported, "I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man." Although the Texians were lucky not to have suffered any casualties, that happy consequence likely stemmed from the fact that the enemy was directing most of its fire against the wall. Almonte recorded that during the night of February 25th, the Mexicans erected 2 more batteries. Prudence demanded that they work at night. That day, in random firing, the Texians wounded 4 of the Cazadores de Matamoros battalion and 2 of the battalion of Jimenez, and killed 1 corporal and a soldier of the battalion of Matamoros. At first, Travis had matched the enemy shot for shot, but by day 4 he realized how much powder and ball that policy was consuming. The defenders needed to conserve ammunition in the event of an assault. Crockett's men were the exception. Their long rifles wasted less powder with better results. The deadly rifles rarely missed their marks. The remainder of the garrison, frustrated by a growing feeling of impotence, could only sit and endure. Exhausted defenders grew steadily weaker. Travis did not have enough men to rotate sentries, so each of them slept at his post. Conditions worsened as a blue norther swept through, dropping the temperatures to 39 degrees. A party of defenders sallied out of the fort to forage for firewood, but were repulsed by Mexican skirmishers equipped with the Baker rifle that could kill at 170 yards. Texians accorded these enemy riflemen more respect than they did the line infantry with smoothbore muskets, and so scurried back to the safety of the fort. Both Susanna Dickinson, wife of Artillery Captain Almiron Dickinson, and Colonel Travis noted Crockett's efforts to bolster the flagging morale of the garrison. Mrs. Dickinson recalled that he often cheered the troops with his fiddle. Travis reported in a letter to Houston that the Honorable David Crockett was seen at all points animating the men to their duty. Even the stricken Bowie had his cot brought out into the open, where he attempted to encourage the men from his sickbed. Despite all efforts, the strain began to tell. Arkansas artilleryman Henry Warnell bitterly expressed their anxieties. "I'd much rather be out in that open prairie. I don't like being pinned up like this." But in more thoughtful moments, others realized that without cover, they would not last an hour against vastly superior Mexican numbers. By the 7th day, the men could see through the desperate attempts to boost their spirits. Only reinforcements could do that. At least a few were on their way. On February 24th, Travis had dispatched Captain Albert Martin to the settlements with his "Victory or Death" letter. The courier rode all night and most of the next day to reach his hometown of Gonzales, some 70 miles away. To his commander's plea for assistance, he added one of his own. "Since the above was written, I heard a very heavy cannonade during the whole day, and think there must have been an attack made upon the Alamo. We were short of ammunition when I left. Hurry on all the men you can in haste." Alamo messengers John W. Smith and Dr. John Sutherland had reached the town earlier, and Martin's arrival heightened the sense of urgency. The proud men of Gonzales had been the first to shoulder their rifles against Centralist oppression. How could they refuse now when fellow Texians needed their help? The Gonzales Ranging Company of Mounted Volunteers boasted a grandiose title, but only 22 effectives. With news of the fighting, a few others joined up. The company was a frontier potpourri: New York hatter George Kimball, 19-year-old newlywed Johnny Kellogg, and Bayard carpenter John W. Smith, eager to rejoin his Alamo comrades. The oldest, at 41, was Isaac Millsaps. The youngest, William P. King, was only 16. By the time of their departure on February 27th, their ranks had increased to 25, and another 8 joined them on the march. Travis had made it clear that 1,000 or more Mexicans surrounded the fort. Fully aware of the disparity of numbers, these 32 men gamely rode on.